Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED this January weekend. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you again. We're both real estate brokers with John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, and we get together with you once a week here on KMED to talk about all sorts of real estate-related topics, issues. What else? Well, that's about it, I suppose. It's most of it, isn't it?
We get together with really knowledgeable
Smart people
who know everything there is to know about our local market, and they impart us with great knowledge. So
and today is no exception to that.
If it was just you and I don't know if so many people would tune in.
Oh, my goodness.
The people that we invite in really make it go.
You know, we always talk about we want our listeners to be smart real estate consumers, and we've had such great guests, and today you're going to learn a lot more about the home building, remodeling world that's out there, that exists, with Tim Alvarez, who is our guest today. Joe, who's the new president of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County and part of Claudio Alvarez Construction Company, right? So,
correct.
Tim, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah?
There's a lot of pressure on you, obviously, with that big buildup. You know, you got to come with your best stuff now.
Well, so you're young. First of all, welcome to the show. You grew up in the valley here, right? Tell us just how your little story was.
Correct. My parents moved me up here when I was 1. Central Point, grew up there, and
yeah, well, you grew up in Central Point. You're a local guy, but where did you learn the skills and trades to be a contractor? Because we talk about the lack of skilled labor in the valley, that we just don't have people. Young people aren't learning the trades that you're doing. So Tim, where did you learn your trade at?
my dad. Growing up, I always played baseball, and that was my life. And every time I needed money, he's like, well, come put in burn blocks. Hey, let's go sheet a roof. And so I did that, and I never expected to do it as a living or a profession. Went to college, did that whole thing, and by the time I was coming to the end of college, I realized there weren't a lot of people doing things for a living, like building, producing, and I kind of wanted to do that, and I find my dad to be a very ethical person. Mm-hmm. And so I asked him if I could come back and work with him, and he was ecstatic. And
how long has your dad, Claudio, been a builder and been active in the Valley?
30 years.
Wow.
30 years this January.
It's a very familiar name, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good. So you learned, you must have, did you work a lot then? Did you want a lot of money when you were growing up? Did you learn all these things?
Just enough to get by. But I came back and started working with him, and it took about 3 to 5 years where by that time we've grown, our company grew enough where my bags went off. And so it's been about 5 or 6 years where I've just been estimating, managing, owning.
Mm-hmm. And what's that been like for you? I mean, you're a young guy. It's great to see that because otherwise everybody's like Brad, and we're at the other end of that scale.
It's been good. We've been able to grow our company for my dad in a truck. Actually, his first work vehicle was a Chevette.
Mm-hmm. A Chevette.
Yeah, like a rolling toolbox.
Yeah.
And when I got back here, we had a truck and we had a few employees. And with my dad and I putting our minds together and working hard, I mean, we've had 30 employees for over 3 years now.
Wow.
And we do 250 to 300 jobs a year. A lot of them really small, a lot of them, up to $500,000. But that's kind of, we found our niche with remodeling, restoration, do a lot of insurance work. And we're building a few specs right now because there's a shortage of houses, so that's a good time to do it.
Well, see, these are all those three issues you just brought up are something that we've talked about before, certainly with Brad Bennington, the Home Builder CEO, and other builders who've come in as well. Those are the kinds of things. And so you survived. It's always interesting how during the recession, of 2008, how businesses and individuals, realtor brokers,
and builders,
how you survived during that downturn, because there was simply no new construction going on for 5 years around the valley now. So how did you all survive that time, Tim?
Dad was already a remodeler, and we kind of backed into a restoration job in Ashland that was for a larger local insurance company, and they had no one on their program to recommend.
Oh, okay.
And so they asked us if we would be interested, and there was a lot of hoops to jump through. It took almost a year. And believe it or not, I was in my dad's truck, and we were driving from a job, and he was talking to this person. He was like, I don't really know if that's something I want to do. A lot of computers, a lot of, programs you have to, hoops you have to jump through. And I said, I can do that. I just graduated from college. Computers are no big deal, And so we kind of got on it, and that we did it for a few years, and we were able to dovetail into other, insurance programs, and now we're a direct repair contractor for 50 insurance companies.
Interesting, boy.
50 insurance companies.
What great timing too, with the way the market turned there, and remodels and reconstruction. That was really the bulk of the jobs that were being done for a long time.
I got lots of questions for Tim about those kinds of things. Let's see if Brad Bennington is on the phone with us from Las Vegas. Brad, are you there, bud? Maybe we lost him, Joe. I'm not sure. So maybe we'll have to see if we can have to get him back. Anyway, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But are you there now, Brad? Nope. I think we lost him there, Joe. That's the fun thing of radio. You know, you never know when it works or not works. But anyway, we'll come back to Tim and we'll see what goes on. So you got along this path story. Then you guys started doing that, and here you are.
Correct, yes.
And you survived and are doing well, and that's really a terrific thing. I'm I guess, was I doing that wrong? Mm-hmm. All right.
He's there.
He is there? Brad, I can't hear him. I can't hear him in my headset, so I guess that's what I'm worried about there. Okay, well, we'll worry about that in a minute. We'll come back over here to talking with Tim Alvarez from Claudio Alvarez Construction. Now, change subject for a bit. You're the new Home Builders president, so you got involved with that organization as well along the way. Has that been a benefit? I mean, is that something that you encourage that to do for others? Because, I mean, to me, the Association of Home Builders is really an organization that does a lot of good around.
You know, I was kind of roped into it, honestly, at first, but I have found a lot of value. A lot of older, wiser people who have done a lot more things than I have or may ever do. And there's also not a lot of young blood that they've kind of recruited because they kind of want to have the next generation.
Right.
And so they have Louis Mahar, Shane McLaughlin from Polish Homes. You have Tanner from Cut and Break, Carrick, Robert, Whittle Home Construction. A lot of, I say younger, I mean, we're all mid-30s, early 40s. Sure. But a lot of good minds.
The next generation from the other guys who are at the retirement age of this whole thing.
Correct, exactly right.
So they're doing that. And it's really it's working out pretty well, isn't it? That you guys are taking that interest in your profession. I guess it's probably what it would be most of all, is that you're going to keep that heart in going. Tell me about how busy you see others, yourselves are right now. As we're in January, usually you would think it would be a slow time in home building and a remodeling world, but what is that like for you and the others that you know?
Everyone is busy, it seems. It used to be during the recession, I need trusses. You call them on Tuesday, they're kind of there on Wednesday. Now you call them in on Tuesday, they're there in 3 Tuesdays. And people are swamped. They can't find the young guys to train to take over, and to really learn the skills that are needed to do sheetrock and paint and carpet and framing and all these trades.
You see young guys your age and younger than you are. That's the group that you need to get into, don't they?
Brad's been putting that alarm out for quite a while now that we need that, and those opportunities are there. And these could be family wage jobs.
Correct.
If you work your way up and apprentice and learn your craft, there's real opportunity there and that's what we want, is opportunities for kids to be able to stay in the valley where they grew up and to provide for their family.
Well, okay, but when are the high schools going to start doing that? They used to have those shop classes and things, and even Road Community College doesn't even have their program. I think if Brad was telling us that. So where are you going to learn this thing? You're going to have to be just like Tim. You got to go out with your dad when they come out, but most dads don't know how to do all that stuff.
But that's
so you're really
the
messed up.
We need our schools to maybe reevaluate that and to provide those opportunities for training and knowledge and education.
I agree with that 100%, as you know. Brad Bennington, are you there now with us? That didn't work. Well, I thought that was going to work. So that didn't help us. I'm at a loss here.
We brought in higher powers.
We brought in higher people, and that didn't work. And I don't hear them anywhere in my headset, so that's maybe not going to work. I'm not going to work. That's not going to work.
Do you think?
Anyway, we'll see how that goes with you and the new generation that comes from behind you. I'm curious about the insurance work that you talked about, Tim. Insurance is an interesting thing, and what are the types of work that a builder would do, insurance-wise? I'm not sure what that would be.
Primarily water damage, fire damage, hail, wind. Remember last December, maybe early December, there was a windstorm, and we had over 50 roofs in a week that blew off.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Just like that. And so we're running. My other estimators, my company, tarping off roofs, anything we can do to keep, the inside of the house from getting damaged. And a lot of these houses with the roofs off, water gets in. And so it goes from a new roof on a house plus $20,000 in the kitchen or wherever it happened. But that's another big one for us is, weird as it sounds, cars hitting houses.
Cars hitting houses.
Yeah, I did one last year where a car ran through a doctor's office, actually in Grants Pass and in Medford. I'm doing one in Ashland where a dump truck full of dirt lost its brakes, ran into a 2-story house. We jacked up the second level, had to completely rebuild the first level in a high-end house in Ashland. Really? And it's up in the air right now. So if you drive around and see a house up in the air, that's the one we're working on.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't think there'd be that much of that kind of activity, but there obviously is.
A ton.
Yeah. Well, you got to have someone's got to do that. And insurances pay for these types of things. And because I always wonder what insurance does or doesn't pay for. When we were having flooding, there was some flooding going on last week. That's kind of damage, I guess, too.
Typically, exterior groundwater is excluded on the typical insurance policy unless you have flood insurance.
Okay. Yeah.
But still, if it gets in your house, you
got to fix the house anyway, whether you got the insurance or not, right? And
you
got to write the check for that, for that type of thing. So I didn't realize that there was that much of it in that insurance claims or those types of things that would come. But I can see you're at the wind. You're right. The roofs. Well, you name it, I suppose.
My fences are falling down.
Yeah.
My old fences.
Yeah.
Correct. And we typically do about 2 water damages a week, where your supply line to your toilet breaks, dishwashers, water lines to the refrigerator, and if it hits your hardwood floor, it may only be 20 square feet, but that floor goes to the living room and to the dining room. Like, it's a big area. Either if it's pre-finished, you're tearing it out. If it's sand and finish, you have to sand and finish the entire area, move all the contents out, bring them all back later, new baseboard, and so it can be very extensive. And this is what we specialize in.
That's what you're doing. See, and look how successful they've become. That's a pretty good niche. I mean, I can see. Well, remodeling. I mean, look how many people are remodeling. And you have lots of stories about, I'm sure, remodeling. From folks, the do's and don'ts of remodeling. Do you put a new kitchen in if you're going to sell the house? Those kind of things. Do I need new floors? You advise people how some of that kind of stuff to you.
I actually came from a repeat homeowner's house right before this show, who wanted to put in a $30,000 kitchen to sell the house. And it was, I want to rebuild her kitchen and get the money and give her a service. But really there was no service there because her house is already too nice for the neighborhood. It's not worth putting more money in because you're not going to get that money back out. And so a lot of times you get a dollar in, dollar out type scenario. But this would have been $30,000 in and maybe $10,000 out. So I told her, I'll do it, absolutely, but it's probably not the best decision with your money.
Now, you said also that you, as a builder, are building some spec houses.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's, when you build a spec house, I assume you're pretty confident of the economy of the community because you're taking the risk in doing that, right? So
correct.
Tell me about your thought process of doing that because, again, there was no spec houses going for a long time. Builders had no financing, had no way to do it. How has that changed for the industry and for you?
For me, I always have the exit strategy of rentals because right now we're like 1% vacancy.
It's terrible.
And so I always decide if I build this house, can I rent it out and cover my payments? So that's a big thing. But right now there's such a shortage that my wife and we decided to build 3 spec houses on foothills, and we are in the middle of the process. And I'm hoping and believing that because houses are selling quickly, that we build a solid product that someone can live in and raise their family, that it'll sell. I can make a little bit of money and move on to the next
We're
project.
about 50 days on market now on average. So you're in a kind of a sweet spot there to have that happen.
Yeah.
And in what
And they will rent. I mean, at worst case scenario,
They'll rent.
you'll have it rented within 3 days.
Correct.
Well, you would have it rented. There's no question. What type, size, amenities are you putting in today? I mean, we've had different builders. We talked about different things that are going into homes. What are you making those today from your point of view?
I kind of feel like our goal is to build the second home. Everyone has the first home where they buy it on the postage stamp lot. There's no RV parking. The garage is minimum. All these things. And it's like, as soon as that family's in that house, they get a boat, they get an RV, they get something. The garage is packed. They're parking in the driveway. There's no RV. So we're kind of a little bit nicer amenities, hardwood floor in the living areas, oversized garage, RV parking. And that's kind of where we're at. So we're $300,000 price range.
In
that's
around the
positioned-
300,000 range.
Positioned perfectly
Yeah.
with the new homes market right now and where the prices are right now.
Quarter
And
acre lots, which is good.
Those are actually getting harder to find. Yeah.
Well, I like the quarter acre lots, and you're right about the small 0.10 acre lots that we see so much in around the valley. And you're right, you got no space, you got no room there. Well, that's good to hear a little bit there.
Just was on a bike ride by the new South Medford High School, and they are really, I mean, you
Getting smaller.
Hope for good neighbors.
Yeah,
The
well, that's
neighbors you can
true.
get along with.
Well, there was a story about the tiny house, the tiny homes, that are being out there, and the need for some of that, and
900 square feet. If it was just me and the dog, I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, I've got clients. We're looking, we're downsizing, from a 2,400 square foot house. It doesn't want that, So finding the right size is really important. Anyway, we'll continue that conversation with Tim Alvarez here on the Real Estate Show. He's the president of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County today on our show, and we can get Brad on the phone. We'll talk with the CEO of the whole shooting shebangle as well. The Real Estate Show here on KMED. Don't you dare go away, as we're coming right back right after this. Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED this January weekend of 2016. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you. And thanks for joining us. Boy, today we're learning all sorts of the insides of home building and what's going on with Tim Alvarez, who's a builder with Claudio Alvarez Construction Company and the new president of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County. And it's good to have a local guy in that doing that kind of work and keeping the trades going. We did that, Tim, with Joe and I have tried to do that over in our broadcasting world. How do you find people to replace you to what you're doing to be trained? How do you train them to do something, And it's not easy, is it?
No, it is not.
It really isn't, and it's very difficult to do. I think we have Brad Bennington now with us from Las Vegas. Is that correct?
Do we? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm so glad to hear you.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You can hear me. Wow.
Well, first of all, the IBS, International Builders Show in Las Vegas, that must be really something to walk around and see.
It is. Just to give you an idea of the scale, you can walk around the city limits of Ashland faster than you can walk through this show. You cannot get through this show without lots of snacks and a couple of glasses of water. This thing is so big. The scale of it is, you just have to see it to believe it.
And do you see lots of new ideas, new materials? What are they showing? What do they have there?
The easiest way I can answer that is this way. Anything and everything that has anything to do with the construction industry has been reimagined, redone, reinvigorated. Everybody has brought their A game. Now that we're on the other side of the recession, now that the market is improving again, you've got, in one case, for instance, you got a lot of new players. We use an example that we're familiar with, Jeld-Wen.
Uh-huh.
Jeld-Wen is a name that's been around for literally decades in the construction industry, but they're bringing new products to the market. They're bringing new ways to install and do the product to the market. So really, everything old is new again. You've got new companies bringing new products into the market and doing products that we've always had, things like doors, windows, counter surfaces. All these things have new ways and new materials that have really changed everything.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And Tim Alvarez is with us, the president of the Home Builders. You got a good guy here for working with you in the next coming year. You guys are going to be pretty busy, aren't you?
Well, I've got to say, we are just so grateful as an organization to have talented, intelligent, hardworking, community-minded people like Tim that are willing to step up and really take over the reins. I do need to correct you on one thing, though, Pete, is that we after 50 years, we are becoming the Southern Oregon Builders Association. So
that's right.
Home Builders Association of Jackson County. That's old news. That's from 1965 to 2015. That handsome, hardworking young man sitting right in front of you, in front of the studio, is the first president of the Southern Oregon Builders Association. And we've gone past our mission of just home construction. We're now out into the broader areas of construction in general. And this young guy sitting in front of you is going to be leading the charge on this new level of service that you're going to see.
Well, that's pretty exciting stuff, actually, isn't it? There, you're into that
excited,
thing,
yes.
Yeah. What else you got cooking with that? Well, okay.
Well, the home construction industry is really important to the Rogue Valley. You guys follow this, your realtors. Last year we did a little over $200 million of residential construction. That's in fiscal year 2015. We're probably going to go over $300 million in 2016. The thing that's exciting about that is in home construction is there's a 5-to-1 ripple factor that goes with that. So that's a huge positive impact on the community. But what we discovered is that a lot of the education, advocacy, and policy work that we do really reaches out to the broader construction market. So we're not going to get out into the heavy industrial and heavy commercial areas, but really a lot of the education and the outreach that we do benefits the construction industry, and that's why the board decided to rebrand, because we are serving this larger market. So Southern Oregon Builders Association is what we're going to be. And, of course, SOVA is what's going to be presenting our home show that's coming up here February 19th, 20th, and 21st.
It's such an easier name to say. Thank you, Brad. We're going to thank you and Tim and your organization.
Southern Oregon Builders Association.
And the website's going to be easier. That's going to simplify things for Pete and I. Thank you.
Well, that's good. That makes a smart move out of that when you think about that. Okay, back to the home show for just a minute, because when the 20th, we're going to be out there, with you on that morning, Saturday morning. So
we want to see what a show like you've got in Vegas there.
Yeah, is it going to be the same
We're looking
show?
for something like that.
It's going to be the same show as far as anything and everything for the home is going to be there, and lots of it. We've got more vendors. We've got some new vendors. We've got more product. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but we had one vendor who's a big vendor. Last year he bought 4 booths, and this year he bought 8.
Well, that's good. Gee, that's a big chunk.
Yeah, he said we've got to be able to take care of the people that are coming to see us. So. It's the place in Southern Oregon where you go. If you want to see everything all in one place, this is where you go.
Yeah.
So a lot of the new products, a lot of the new things, we're fortunate in Southern Oregon that the contractors and the people that we have are very progressive, very forward thinking. A lot of the things that I'm seeing here that's cutting edge stuff in Las Vegas, believe it or not, in just about a month, you're going to see a lot of this stuff right there in our community. So anyone who's interested at all in what's going on, come to the home show.
Now remember, this is the only home show of the year. There's not another one, so this is your only chance to get out and do that. And of course, thousands of people do. But you guys have the Southern Oregon Home Builders Association. You guys have been on a roll. This last year or so. I mean, you had a hugely successful home show last year. You rolled the dice and took the risk in changing and adding the home tour in October, which turned out to be a huge success.
And we built and sold a pack house.
And you built and sold your home that the home builders build every year. You call it pack house, right?
Pack house.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did that, and now you're changing your name. You're kind of to reflect more of what you're doing and things like that. And you got the big home show coming up again. So, geez, you guys are on a big roll, I'd say, Brad.
Well, we're really grateful. Again, it's the fuel that's running the engine are these smart, hardworking young people like that guy you got sitting right in front of you in the studio. We grew our membership 20% last year, and you're right. We sold out. We sold out our home show last year. The home show that we're doing here in a month is we're going to actually have a waiting list. We're almost sold out right now, even though it's a month away yet. And part of this is, a big part of this, which you already know is what Tim was talking about, is that there's so much housing demand right now. Yep. Our people, our home building people, God bless them, they're working as fast as they can. But right now, there's just more demand than we can satisfy the market for. Isn't that amazing?
It's remarkable.
And we're going to continue to grow.
It's I think the comment from Tim was it's good for builders.
Yeah.
And it is. So are you seeing them coming back or more? Are people? I mean, if there's so shortage. And there is a shortage, and you're on waiting lists, especially for.
I think the good thing about the houses being built now is most of them are being bought by local people. Instead of people moving up from California, we still have those, but there's a lot of people. I have friends, 30 years old, they're buying their first house. They saved up the down payment. They're doing it with their job. They're paying their mortgage. I have some employees who would love to get into their first house, But that down payment is such a huge step for the first home. It's such a big thing.
Yeah.
And so,
but it's still
that we've also learned
such a good time still with the interest rates
low.
and the affordability index being what it is. It's still a great time if you can buckle down and save that up and get your closing costs together. It'll pay you back tenfold over time.
If you have decent credit, conventional loans are in that range. 5% down and even less. Remember that we've heard that. So don't let that impediment you. In fact, John L. Scott's going to be doing a program. Right now, it's such an advantage to own than rent. And look at the rental market. And they're doing a seminar coming up January 29th, actually, on that, which is going to be really interesting. We'll have more on that in the coming weeks. But there's a lot of stuff going on in that particular area, which I'm glad to see because we need it, and because it makes builders are busy, and the ripple effect that Brad talks about goes all over the economy. Bottom line, there must be a lot of confidence in our valley for people to do this.
It's a great place to live,
as opposed to like 6 years ago when our economy was on the cliff and about to go over.
Things have really changed. We got one more segment to go here on the Real Estate Show. We're with Brad Bennington, the CEO of the Southern Oregon Builders Association, and his new president, Tim Alvarez, as well. Pete and Joe here. Don't forget, you can watch any of our shows at realestateshowOregon.com. Real Estate Show continues on KMED this January weekend. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. Next week, Habitat for Humanity's Denise James will be along with Guy Giles. We'll talk about mortgages as well. It's amazing to me that the mortgage interest rate, since they announced that little increase in the interest rate at the Fed level, has actually dropped. It's below 4% again, Joe, and it's strange.
It's because it makes absolutely no sense. That's why I really don't pay a lot of attention to it. I see the numbers and I look for the reasons that are cited that they go up and down and where they go, but a lot of that is so far out of our hands. Well, you just can't lose a lot of sleep over it.
New jumbo loans. And you got to have a jumbo loan if you're above the FHA.
That's another problem I'll never have.
But they're 3.2%. I mean, that's
a problem I'd like to have, actually.
Well, I hope that continues because people need housing, and if it goes sky high or changes a lot, it's going to change the market a lot. Today here on the Real Estate Show, we're with Tim Alvarez, who's the new president of the Southern Oregon Builders Association, with us, and a part of Claudio Alvarez Construction Company. And Brad Bennington's on the phone with us from Las Vegas at the International Builders Show that's taking place down there. So we got the whole builders group with us today, and so far what we have learned is that the building is robust. There's a lot going on. The Home Builders Show is coming up next month. And Brad's in a good mood. So
Brad's in Las Vegas.
I'm pretty happy about that, Brad.
It's got to be more than just the home building show down there.
I'll tell you, we're grateful. Pete, I remember so well when you and Joe were just getting started with your program. Things weren't so rosy, and now that our industry is in recovery, I think we're all breathing a sigh of relief and being a little happier. There's one other neat little piece of information that I want to share with you guys. We at our level, we're the local representation of the home builders of the Oregon Home Builders Association, which is the state level. And for 2016, we've got a neat thing. Our local well-known businessman Randy Jones is going to be the president of the Oregon Home Builders Association this year. His swearing-in ceremony is going to be January 29th, just around the corner.
Yeah, in Medford even.
Right here in Medford at the Commons, and that's kind of it's kind of a neat deal because Randy is going to be presiding over OHBA, and we don't down in our little neck of the woods down here with our 210,000 people here in Jackson County, we don't get to do that very often.
And you're hosting, I know, the Home Builders board meeting down here that time on the 29th. That's right. So that's a big thing.
Yeah,
that's great for Randy. And it's amazing how many Southern Oregon people become presidents of these state associations. We've had the appraisers. I can't remember these names now, but these people have come in and done those. So good for them. Well, good for you. So, Brad, we want to let you go. Anything else? People getting ready for your home show. I know that's a big thing. They can still sign up. They need to get a hold of your office. Is that it?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The home show, we're only doing one, so it's you're either in or you got to wait till next year. And then just once again, so excited about these new young guys like Tim Alvarez that are taking over the reins. Expect great things. You're going to see great things. these new guys with this new mission, Southern Oregon Builders Association, are going to be serving our community better than ever before.
Okay, all right. Well, you have a good time in Las Vegas. We'll see you when you get back, all right?
All right. Take care, guys.
Like he's really building you up. You know that, Tim.
I know.
There's a lot of pressure on you.
You're going to have to really come up with something really good. We'll get you in here next year, and we'll see you.
When they swore me in, I'm like, and in a year we'll see how wise Brad is because he believes in me. You know.
Well, if Brad believes in you, that's really that's a real important thing, isn't it?
Great for Randy Jones too, because I think he will bring years of expertise and knowledge that will benefit the state agency and his leadership.
Well, you know, just in 2015, we talked about residential sales. You know, when Jim Remley was here with us a couple of weeks ago on our show, well, Joe, in 2015, there were 274 new construction homes sold through the MLS system anyway. Where do you think the top few places would be in those new construction areas?
East Medford.
East Medford, number one. Okay, then what? Where are they building homes? Where do you think
White
City?
White City?
Well, they are, yes, but there's one you missed, Central Point.
So that's the next one I was headed for.
Central Point. So,
Twin Creeks is about to, I believe, punch through and started in their next phase before too long.
Well,
correct.
In new
Folks out there are going to be very excited.
New construction, the median price in 2015 was $289,900. So that's right in that area that, Tim, that you were saying your spec homes are in that $300,000 range.
Correct.
So that shows that. Those prices, by the way, were up 19% from 2014, and they're up 38% from 2011. That's what's happening, and and that's probably
less distressed properties right now.
Far less, yeah.
In fact, I think there was I can't remember how many communities didn't even have a short sale this last year.
That's great.
And had and that foreclosure market is shrunk. But I will tell you, if you're still looking, remember, homepath.com is the website that you need to go to see when those listings of the foreclosed properties come up. And they're coming up. I swear. I mean, there's, every day.
I have
they're
clients
still there.
that track that very closely, and they are out there, and they wait for months and months just waiting for these properties to come back onto the market and to go through the process and be available again. So.
And, of course, your advantage in a HomePath home is if you owner occupied and first time home buyers. Right. So there's still programs out there to get there, and we hope people will take advantage of them. Before we let Tim Alvarez go, we're excited about what's happening with the home show and the home builders, now the Southern Oregon Builders Association.
Correct.
So that's really cool, and your business is doing well as well. That's really good news to hear. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Thank you. We're excited about the Southern Oregon Home Builders Association. Of course, I love my company. I love my guys. We're very, very thankful for this valley and the work we do here. And
you're busy in the areas in home building, and that one I think is really important. The remodeling world, the remodeling work, insurance work, you got a niche, and that's what it takes to be successful.
Brad told us on the TV show earlier this month that our population in Jackson County is going to double in the next 20 years. In Medford area, that's 80,000 now. That is shocking and amazing to me, and you better roll up your sleeves, Tim, and get to work, because we're still the number one destination state in the nation for new people moving and migrating to.
In multifamilies, we didn't even get to that.
Yes,
but quickly, you're even building some of that.
I'm building a fourplex, and I'm restoring a duplex over on Elm.
You're not going to have a problem in renting any of those units out.
Oh, no. No, everything rents in 3 days.
What a great investment for people to get into
with the limitations of our urban growth boundary and all the regional problem solving that has taken place and set those boundaries. We're going to have to get creative with what's within those areas and in those cities to meet these demands and meet these needs. And the Southern Oregon Builders Association could be right up front and be a part of that process.
We'll do anything we can to help.
I think you're going to see the builders busy for a number of years because we got to get caught up with housing. We got to help people here in our valley.
Home buyers
there's
and
no
renters.
Rentals. There's and the listings are so far down. There's not much going on. Anyway, thank you, Tim, for being with us. Tim Alvarez. You can find.
I wish I was good with a hammer. I just have no help, but you need better than me.
All right, that'll do it. Have a great week, everybody. We'll be back next Saturday here on KMED. We hope you'll join us then. And in the meantime, have a great week, everybody, and God bless.
Listening to The Real Estate Show on KMED AM and FM radio, presented by John L. Scott Real Estate of Southern Oregon, along with All Cities Property Management, the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, Ditech Mortgage, the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. For guest information or to watch a past show, visit us online at realestateshoworegon.com. Join us again next weekend for Southern Oregon's one and only Real Estate Show on KMED.